Hi, I'm Scott Bradford from the Rio Grande Tech Team, and I'm joined by my teammate.
Hi, I'm Gregg Burgard.
So today we're going to be talking about 3Design. We're going to do a demonstration, but we're also going to be touching on how to improve your CAD workflow using some of the tools available in 3Design, such as history, and how to design parametrically. So let's get started. So we're going to start with a very simple design, but Greg, let me ask you first. So what does it mean when someone says designing parametrically or using history? How would you explain that?
So parametric basically means that it's changeable and that you have a history that you can go back to and reopen and make changes and adjustments. So when you're designing, a lot of it is not so permanent. You have a lot of flexibility. You can make iterations, changes to all kinds of things, and that's what we'll take a look at.
So it's kind of keeping track of everything you're doing as you're doing it, and you can go back and modify those different steps.
Right. You'll be able to reopen things in a history tree, which we show here.
Yeah, let's get started. We'll see it in action. So what are we going to start with?
Let's build a little ring, and this will demonstrate some of the power of parametric working. Let's start with this ring rail, ring size builder. So I'm going to pick a finger size. The ring size builder, you'll see it's got a built-in finger size, and it's got this platform here. Which is for a stone. It's to relate the stone to the finger size. So later on, if we decide to parametrically change it, that stone will always be related, and it will always maintain that spacing.
And it seems like there's a number there for 3 millimeters. So even when we make changes, it'll stay that same distance apart, no matter how big or small a size we go, or
Correct.
What other changes we make.
Correct. So I'm going to look at the finger sizes, and of course we have a lot of choices. We have Europe, UK, US, Asia, Japan, and custom. So if you wanted to make a custom size that wasn't any one of those, then that's what you would choose. So I'm going to go into US, and I'm going to choose, let's say, a standard size 7, which is really common. And I'm going to set this offset. I'm going to move it up a little bit. I'm going to change it to about 4 because I'm going to put a big stone there.
So if you don't know what the offset needs to be right off the bat, you can always go back and change that, I would imagine.
Yep, and that's the nice thing about it. And we will do some of that so you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and validate. So now it's here in our tree. And so let's... So this is our ring rail, and we've got the stone position. So let's select that, and let's get a stone in here. And right now it's on a 1/2 carat. Let's make it a big stone. Let's make it a 1 carat. I'm going to hit tab. And right now I'm just going to leave it as a brilliant cut, which is just a round. It's a diamond color. We can change any of these things, but let's just stay here.
So because you started with that ring size builder that had the stone plane already built in, that stone automatically snapped to that point.
Mm-hmm. It didn't put it here in the origin. It just put it at the plane position.
When you can start to see on the left some of the things you've done in your history tree.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it's all gonna be cataloged.
This was the first step. This is the second step. We're starting to build a tree here. Pardon me. So we've got a stone. We've got a ring rail. Let's put a bezel around this stone. And I want to tie the bezel to the stone, so I'm going to pre-select the stone. Just build a regular bezel for now. There's several tabs here. I'm going to go to the second one, and let's pull Let me zoom in a
So
little.
all these little arrows are for adjusting various aspects of the bezel.
Right, these are handles. You can pull them to do a visual adjustment, or you can come over here in all these fields and actually enter a specific amount if you're trying to, if you need to control that dimension. But just for the sake of this demo, I'm just going to pull a couple of things here. I'm going to pull the top of the bezel down a little. I'm going to pull the bottom of the bezel down, and we'll go through into the finger hole just for now. So there's a simple bezel around our 1 millimeter or 1 carat stone. Sorry.
So one thing I noticed about 3Design is it is actually providing you a bit more realistic view of what you're going to be making. It looks like a diamond. It looks like yellow gold rather than different colors or things like that.
Right. That's one of the beauties about the interface and the workspace is that it's not ugly grayscale. I mean, the metal looks like metal, and these are all changeable too. The diamonds look like diamonds. I know a lot of customers will they'll have somebody working in the back on CAD, but they'll have a monitor in their showroom, and they'll have it on a big screen. So when customers come in, they can see it, and it means something to them. So the gold looks like gold, and so on.
Right.
So that's kind of a nice thing you can do. And also, if you're working with a customer like Scott is sitting here next to me, they don't have to imagine what it looks like in these materials. It's obviously you can see it. Okay, so now we need to finish the ring portion. So I'm going to select a plane and launch the sketch mode. The sketch mode allows us to draw sections or rails that we can sweep around this curve. So let's do that. We've got a neat little tool here called a symmetrical vertical curve, and I'm going to make some sections or rails to sweep. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And you're just kind of freehanding it here with the symmetrical curve.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, and it doesn't really matter, as you'll see. 1, 2.
Because all of this can be adjusted later, I would imagine, and changed however
6.
we need.
Correct. Like right now, I mean, these are obviously too big, so I'm going to go over here and scale this down a little bit.
Well, and the grid corresponds to real sizes, right?
Each one of these is a millimeter.
Right, 1 millimeter.
So I'm building this right directly above the stone, so you can kind of see the width of the shank is going to be in relation to the head. But we can still change it later if we need to. So I've got some sections. We've got the ring rail. Let's get out of the sketch mode. I'm going to go into the solid module. These are just a lot of tools, standard CAD tools like revolves and sweeps and extrusions and so on. So let me select the path, and then I'm going to launch curve sweeping. So I've already pre-selected the ring rail or the path. I'm going to go to the second tab, which is the section. And I'm going to select, let's select this as our top one. The second field there is for the position where you want that section to start. And I want it to start about right here at the top. I'm going to select, I can't select with this thing. Let me hide this for now. I'm going to select 40.
So any elements that are getting in your way, you can just kind of freeze or hide and get them out of the way.
Sure. Then I'm going to add another section. Let's add the second one. And then for position, I want that second one to transition. Let's see, about here, 66 position. Then I'm going to add another one of this to be symmetrical over here, which is going to be this one. position for that was, let's see, 66, and what's this, 77 or 78 plus?
So about 11 or 12,
Yeah,
somewhere in that
let's try
area.
that. Somewhere around there, yeah. All right, and then this third tab is going to be positions on the, so we can kind of see here what's happening. We can actually do a little eyeball preview. And you can see that these sections are not at the top of the rail, so that's going to interfere with our finger size. We don't want that. Let's move the sections to on top of the rail, and then we'll take another look at it. See, that's better. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and validate that. And I'm going to show the bezel. It's very long, of course. Now, let's trim this off. How about that? So, let's open a tool called Crop and Punch, which is like a cutter that we use a lot. I'm going to use where's the ring rail? Here. Object to manipulate. This one.
Oh, I don't think it. Oh, yeah, it did select. Never mind.
Did it select this one?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And let's try it. There we go.
There we go. So now the bottom of the bezel is nice and flush against the finger.
Right. I basically use the ring rail, the ring curve as the cutter. So what that tool is doing, it's doing it's extruding the ring curve and then subtracting it from the bezel. So it just does both of those operations together as one click, which is kind of a quick time saver. So here we have our ring and our bezel. Let's go ahead and just Boolean it together.
Now, what are Booleans, and why do we have to do them?
A Boolean is when you're combining everything. It makes everything one piece, because right now, if I click on this, it's a separate piece. And if we want to 3D print that, it has to all be one piece.
Right, so that's what they refer to when they say a watertight model.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to combine the two pieces so we can print them all together. So it's one piece. They're not. These are right now separate pieces. When we Boolean them, they'll be one piece.
Okay.
So this surface won't exist anymore. It'll just be from here to here. So anyway, let's select that. Boolean it. By default, it's on add, but there's also a subtract and a Boolean intersection. And I won't go into Booleans right now, but we're just going to add them together. It's always a good idea before a Boolean to save, so I'll do that. It's all right. Okay, it's a simple operation, so it works really well. Now we have a finished ring.
Now let's change some stuff.
What? It's Booleaned.
So one of the beauty parts of 3Design and its history is that even though we've Booleaned this ring together, like this is effectively a finished piece, we can still make changes to it. So how about we start by changing the ring size?
Okay, so you can do that one of two ways. We could actually click on the ring rail itself, and you can see it in there. It's kind of hard to see.
Oh.
Or you can go into the tree and open it there. So this was at a 7.
So customers change their mind. They no longer want to wear it on their ring finger. They want to wear it on another finger. So so yeah, let's do a size 9.
A 9, okay. We'll do a 9. And we're going to validate that. Of course, it'll turn red, which means you've changed something and we need to update the rest of the model. So let's recalculate everything. Takes a second. So now it's a size 10. And the stone hasn't moved.
And the stone's the same size. You haven't had to scale the whole thing up or anything. It's
nope.
and it redid the Boolean as well. So it's still one model.
Right. I mean, we can do this all day. You can. It's a 9. I can do 12 and a half. It does that very easily. If somebody says, you know what, I don't like that round stone in there.
Yeah, let's change the stone shape.
Right, I'll just double click that. And I can go down here. How about a heart?
Perfect.
And the stone has changed. Now we need to update everything else around it. There, that's powerful. Maybe we want more of a knife edge, a sharper edge. I'm going to double click the section for the top, and I can either scale it or I can drag a point, make it taller, pull it out a little, pull this in, make it a little more dramatic. Oops. Try that. And you can see here that now that's a lot more extreme.
So yeah, because of that history tree, you're able to go into your original stone and change that, or your ring size and change that, or
Right.
the profiles or the sections that you use to create that shank. Those can be changed as well, and it's still Boolean together.
Yeah, yeah, that's
And that's without saving multiple files and things like that. It's all contained in that history tree on the left side of the screen.
right.
And that's one of the, we're both CAD designers, and I mean, it's always going to happen. You're gonna do a design for somebody, and there's going to be some changes throughout the process.
Sure.
Hopefully, you've planned and made sure that you didn't have to redo large sections of the model after they changed their minds or changed the size of the stone that they wanted, or anything like that. You could still, using this, you can pretty much go in at any time and change anything you need instantly.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. And you can make slight iterations too. Maybe you're designing a whole line. Just with this simple thing here. I mean, you could make hundreds of different models.
Yeah, so you could make one ring and then have it in all the standard finger sizes, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Exactly.
10.
Sure, exactly. Let's look at another project that's going to be kind of fun, something that I do a lot of. I'll show you this. Let me just start with a new. All right.
Well, and I like too that it's one single window.
Yeah, no multiple viewpoints.
Right.
Although, if you're used to that, you can set it up that way.
Right.
That's something you can.
So you do have that option if
Yes.
that's what you're comfortable with.
Right, right. So here's something I like to do. I like to have fun with. I'll show you this. I'm just going to use the NURBS curve. Just going to start here. 1. So here's a line. Let me make a section here. And that's a little bit big. So let me scale that down a little bit. Then let me make a copy of that too. And then I want to scale the copy, another copy that's much smaller. Whoops. Let me grab this one. Do I have more than one? Maybe I made it really small. No, I'm okay.
Nope.
All right. So So now I have a couple of little sections, and I've got this curve. So let me get out of the sketch, and I'll show you some really cool stuff. So I'm going to select this. We're going to do another curve sweep. And I need to move this point over. I thought I was on this side of the line. Let me pull this back. I could still do it, but I want to make it better. All right, let me get out of here. Let me sweep this. I have my path. Let's take a section. I'm going to start small at this point. Let's add another one. I'll go to the bigger one, and I'll have that around here. And then I'll add another section with this, and I want that to end up down here. So it's going to go small section, sweeping to large, and then going back to small. Do a circular duplicate. And I can take all this, and I'm going to do a twist.
So you've taken the sweep and you're just deforming it.
Yes, I did a circular duplication. All right, so let's take this like this, make it more interesting. Let's mirror that. So now we have this cool thing. I'm going to take that mirror and I'm going to scale it up just slightly to make it Boolean a little better. I'm at 1.01%.
So why are you scaling it up a small amount?
It'll make, if you have two items sharing the same space, it makes it hard to Boolean. The Boolean doesn't know what you want to do, so if they occupy different spaces, you can combine them better. So I'm going to select all these, and we'll Boolean it.
Yeah, when you're doing Boolean operations, what's happening is there's actually some pretty incredibly complex math going on. You can have Boolean errors. So things that exist in the exact same space in the CAD software, most of the time a CAD software will they may be able to compensate for it, but in a lot of cases the Boolean may fail. So that's one of the reasons to do a slight scale just to make sure. And you can see this Boolean is taking a lot longer than our previous one because there's a lot of intersecting points.
There's a lot of shit.
Yeah,
connections.
Exactly.
And even if it were able to combine two surfaces that Boolean them together, once it gets to 3D printing, the 3D printer won't know how to handle that. So it'll usually just creates a void. So there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of intersections going on down here.
Right, down here at the bottom.
Down here at the bottom, there's a lot going on at the top. A little bit here, and you can see the one that I scaled up, it's overlapping a little bit there. The Boolean just finished. So now, no matter which one I click on, they're done. And to finish off the piece, I might go and use a primitive like a torus. And I'm just going to set that at 0. And I don't know, I'll make it like a 3 millimeter, or I don't know. I can change it. And then the thickness, we'll say, is about 2. And I'll pull that up here. That looks a little big. That's okay. I have this ability. And I'm going to go in here and start making that thinner. I'll pull that in. I want to cover up this intersection point.
So this would be something like if you were going to solder a finding,
Yeah.
like an ear wire or something like that, depending on how you wanted it.
Yeah, this
hung or
just
something.
yeah, this just finishes it up a little better.
And then once you have that component, you can do use like a move rotate scale to actually get it right where you want it.
And then I can duplicate that here. Oops, sorry, that's a mirror. Where was it? Here. I'll duplicate that and pull it down to the bottom. And if I want to make sure that I can freeze it and see, so that is penetrated into the part. Okay. I'll show that. So now we have this kind of cool piece that could be an earring, could be a part, just could be an ornament. It's a cool design. You could put stones in here. You could do all kinds of things. But if you wanted to go back and change...
Yep, now it's time to make some changes.
All right, let's find the original curve. The original curve is right here. I can pull this out a little. I can pull... Oh, I can't see another point.
I think you've got...
Oh, there it is. Here's
one. There it is.
Let's make this more... I don't know. We just go crazy here a little bit. How about like that? That's a lot of calculations, a lot of geometry there.
But, I mean, just imagine having to basically start over from scratch with the model. I mean, if you... Because this curve that you just changed was the very first thing that we did.
It's going to update everything we did afterwards, which is a lot.
Yeah, you have to go in, redo the sweeping to create those pieces, the mirroring to create the kind of cross parts. You would basically have to start over from scratch. But because of the history tree, we can just adjust that one curve, tell it to recalculate, and now it's going to go back and redo all of that.
There you go.
And there you go.
So that was a lot of stuff. It basically redid everything. Since that, like Scott said, that was the first thing we did. It updated everything that was done afterwards.
Now, what about the profiles?
Yeah,
Let's change one of the profiles too.
I think, yeah, I can just change this whole profile to something different. I can make this a little more round, for example.
So now it's going to do the re-sweeping, the re-Boolean, and all of that stuff.
Yeah. And it's still going to have this at both ends, but the middle will be more, a little bit bigger and more round.
So when you're building something like this, you build the curves for the outside profile, and then you have a couple other profiles for doing your sweeping, but all of those are kind of tied together as you're going through. So that's why we're able to change things, right?
Exactly. So if we look really closely, there's a lot of reflection there, but we have this section rail at the beginning, and then it goes more rounded here, and then down at the bottom we're back to our four-sided section. So that's pretty crazy, actually. I'll pull this back out, make it more reasonable.
So yeah, and once you get the design finalized, you can show it to your customer with a basically a realized render of what that piece is going to look like, and from there, 3D print it. So before once we have everything Booleaned, is there a way to check the model to see if everything's going to be okay in our 3D printing?
Yeah, there's a couple ways to do it. It has a tool called the Part Doctor, where you can check it there. You can also check it with something called polygon conversion, where it shows a mesh, and you can see in the mesh where the they'll be highlighted in red if there's an issue, and if there is, then you can go back into the model, make adjustments so you don't have shared surfaces and so on, and then relaunch it again. So even before you save it or export it, there are lots of ways to check it and make sure. So, I don't know.
And there you go. Now it's finished.
What do you think of that? Well, let me hide
I love it.
all that. And there you go.
Okay, now I'm getting dizzy.
All right. So it's a really fun and powerful program, and it allows you a lot of versatility and iteration without having to go back and start from scratch if customers want to make changes. It allows you to make changes on the fly while you're designing. If you recognize something that you don't like, you can just immediately click back into it, even if it's Booleaned.
Yeah, and I mean that's quicker changes is happier customers, more money in your pocket because you're CAD designer, or if you're doing the design yourself, I mean that's less time to make those final changes on the design, show it to the customer that last time so they can confirm, you can print it, you can cast it, get it out the door, and move on to the next thing.
Absolutely.
Now, as your skill grows with 3Design, I would imagine there's a lot of different ways as your designs get more and more complex to design them parametrically.
Right.
So as you learn more of the commands and how they all tie together, then you can increase the complexity and still be able to make those changes, even if you have, say, multiple stones or what have you that's in your design.
Sure. And when you're designing, you need to unite. If it's something you think you're going to be saving in your history, something you want to come back and be able to redesign, you want to think about it a little bit differently than if you were designing in other ways, or traditional CAD.
Perfect. Well, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up from here. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us.